Alright, Shalom. I'd like to start off this lesson by giving all praises and those honors and glories due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Wakah Kwadash. I would like to give double honors to my elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And I'd like to give a special salutations, okay, to the hopeful elect out there scattered among the four corners of the earth, alright? Basically, I've spent the whole evening looking at Greece and all the antiquities and artworks of pretty much the Grecian civilization. And I found a few interesting facts, I pretty much found paintings and pictures of Zeus, Dionysus, Poseidon, and them being painted as so-called black people, which is very. I even found paintings of Medusa as well, painted as a so-called black woman. But nevertheless, I don't really have anything in mind. But basically, I wanted to go over a few of the things that I found. Now, the first read I'm gonna read is over here in the Greek Dark Ages, because there's a point I need to get across. I'm gonna show you when these Edomites started, taking over Greece, because within these articles that I have lined up, you will see that Alexander the Great actually has what they call, how do I say? Alexander the Great actually has a lineage, and this lineage goes all the way to pretty much the first king of Macedon, which you guys don't know. Alexander was not the first king of Macedon. It was a whole lineage of kings that came before him, and they were all blood ties, kin, of the same stock, So this is ancient Greece, the Greek Dark Ages, because there was a Greek Dark Age, which I'm going to show you here. So this is 3000 BC, which he calls 300. This is 3000 BC, and this is during the time of Japheth or Yapaf, And I'm going to go ahead and get the scriptures for that, And let me go ahead and go to the blue letter, Genesis 10. Okay, and I'm gonna show you who dwelt in the land of Greece during that time. Genesis 10. Now this is the genealogy of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or Japheth, and sons were born to them after the flood. So this was after the flood. The flood happened and all of the earth split, because before the flood happened, the whole land that we knew, planet Earth, or what you would call Eden. Eden was a one piece of land, Pangaea. And I'm going to prove that to you. I'm gonna go to the book of Genesis, same chapter, Genesis, not the same chapter, but the same blue letter. I'm gonna go to Genesis. I think it's 1. Let me see if it's in Genesis 1. Where it says in the beginning that Elohim created heaven and earth. Now I'm going to jump right here. So this is Genesis 1 and verse 9. And I believe this is pretty much this is the third thousand year. Because over here, the firmament was created first, and it pretty much divided the waters, which is the second heaven and the first heaven. That first heaven being the atmosphere that we see now, and the second heaven being space. The third heaven is the spiritual realm as we know it, where the angels, the left hand and the right hand live, and even where all the souls go after they leave their bodies, which is the abode of our souls, So Genesis 1 to 9. Keep this in mind. This is the third thousand year, or what we will call the third day. Earth Earth was created on the third day. And Alhayim said, let the waters under the heaven. So there's the waters are pretty much the elements under the heaven. The under the heaven is talking about the atmosphere, be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. And the Alahayim or Alahayim called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called these seas. And the Alahayim saw that it was good, meaning it was according to plan. And then you get the vegetation. That's when the earth started having vegetations. Now before that, earth was just like a huge giant desert. Then the Alliance brought vegetations and grasses and fruits and all of these things that we see today. You know? So I'm going to the word earth. It should say Eden. It says Eres. It should be Eden. Earth. Um, land, earth, whole earth as opposed to a part, earth as opposed to heaven, country, territory, and heaven it's a land. So this is talking about earth, the ground. And before the flood, this is how the earth looked like, Pangaea. Let me go ahead and get that. Pangaea map. This is how the earth looked. Let me see if I can get you a better view. So this is Pangaea right now. And this is pretty much close to how the earth looked. You got all the continents together. You got all the countries and everything. It was all spaced into this one big gigantic land. This is another picture right here, depiction, which is this is much better. You can see North America, Africa, South America, Antarctica. What is that? Is that India? I think that's India, Australia. Then you also see the Middle East, which is right here. This is the Garden of Eden. So this is where paradise was. Even on Pangaea, the Middle East or the Fertile Crescent is still like the center of the world. So that's how you know that everything lines up. And this is how the earth looked before the great flood happened. Now when the flood happened, all of these continents, the tectonic plates shifted because a huge flood that happens for I think it was 70 days and 70 nights, or I think it was 40. It was some odd number of days, that the flood happened and swallowed the whole earth. And that will cause a lot of friction with the tectonic plates, causing them to shift and to move from each other. And all of these nations, they all have an account of how the flood or the great flood that it happened. Now Esau will go ahead and label it as a myth and never happened, but there is scientific evidence and proof of the flood happening. And that was during the time of like the 90s, the 80s, even before the 60s and 70s, the 50s, the 1800s. They had a lot of proof for the flood happening. But nowadays, with this new science, they're now starting to shift towards an atheistic view, and they're now trying their hardest to disprove the Bible. So now that we got that out of the way, this is Pangaea before the flood happened, and that's how we pretty much all the lands together, and this was called Eden, Earth. It had all these bodies of water all around it. So this is how the Earth was, before the flood happened. So now that I got that out of the way, I'm gonna go back to Genesis 10, and I'm gonna jump to the line of Yapath. Now I'm gonna break down. Let's see. This is Genesis 10:2. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. Gomer. Let me see if I can remember. Gomer will pretty much be the land of Turkey, Asia Minor. Magog will be the land of Russia. Now, I forgot the Indo-European names of the sons of Japheth, you know? I forgot their names, but I know that Magog, they are the Scythians, Madai are the Medes, okay? They are the descendants, or what you call, the Medes are the descendants of Madai. Javan are where you get the Greeks, you know? You have the Peloponnesians, you have the Ionians, and all these different Greeks names. They all scattered into different tribes, but they all come from one man named Javan. You know, you have Tubal, which I believe Tubal that also is a part of Asia Minor. You have Meshech, which is the Moshki tribe, I believe, and Tiraz being the Thracians. You know, I'm gonna have to go in deep, you know, and break this. Let me see if I can. It should be in the blue letter right here. We go to Gomer. Gomer or Gowar, complete progenitor of the early Cimmerians and other branches of the Celtic family. Gomer, the northern people sprung from Japheth, from whom Togarmah or the Armenians is said to be descended. Okay, Togarmah, you have Gomer. So yeah, Togarmah are those Caucasians, you know, not the Caucasian whites that we're talking about, but we're talking about the indigenous Caucasians because there was an indigenous group that lived in those Caucasian regions, and they were the children or the descendants of Togarmah, you know. Uh, you know what? Let me do this instead right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna search up Gomer. Gomer Bible Hub. It says, yeah, there we go. Gomer. So Gomer are the Cimmerians, you know. They're a barbaric horde of Ionians in the 7th century BC, causing serious trouble to Assyrians. So Gomer are the Cimmerians, you know. Let me go back. Yeah, Gomer are the Cimmerians. So the Blue Letter Bible is correct. Gomer being the progenitor of the early Cimmerians and other branches of the Celtic family, because you guys have to understand that Celts, which came to inhabit Ireland, Scotland, Wales, the British Isles, they first came from Asia Minor, and from Asia Minor they moved all the way into Gaul, which is modern day France, the France region. They lived there next to the people of Ashkenaz, which are those Germanic tribes. They were living and fighting against each other. Then from there they moved into Spain as well, and mixed with those the people of Tarshish. You know, those indigenous Iberians. Okay, that's why you have something called the Celto-Iberians. You know, let me look it up. The Celto-Iberians, Celto-Iberians, and Lord's will, you guys are getting edified. You know, the Celto-Iberians were a group of Celts and Celticized peoples inhabiting an area in the central northeastern Iberian Peninsula during the final centuries BC. So, uh, these were Celts that intermingled with the Iberians at that time, and the Iberians were a different Japhetic group, so they created a whole new race of people. You know, they call them the Celt Iberians. You know, so Gomer are the people of Cimmerian. Let me look up Cimmerians. Cimmerians. It says here Cimmerians. The Cimmerians or the Cimmerians were a nomadic Indo-European group. Okay, who appeared about 1000 BC. While the Cimmerians were often described by contemporaries as culturally sentient, they evidently differed. They evidently differed ethnically from the Scythians proper, who also displaced and replaced the Cimmerians. The Cimmerians subsequently migrated both to Western Europe and to the south Southwest Asia by the way of the North Caucasus, you know? So this is like the map of where they spread out to. And you call them the Cimmerians. These are the people of Gomer, okay? The true descendants of Gomer. And, you know, one thing I love is that after Yahushua comes and we set up the kingdom, we're gonna find out who the people of Gomer are, you know, like they're the descendants, you know, and we're gonna let them know, like, hey, look, you guys are the children of Gomer, you guys are the children of Ashkenaz, you guys are the children of Javan, because right now, majority of the world they don't know their biblical nationality, so that's one of the things that we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to give everybody their biblical nationality, you know. It's going to be a beautiful thing because they're going to know who they are. Instead of Esau lying to everybody and claiming to be everybody by himself, you know? Esau claims to be the Indo-Europeans. He also claims to be the Arabs. He also claims to be the Egyptians. I mean, you actually have Edomites out there who truly believe that the Egyptians were white. I mean, this shit is bonkers, man. These Edomites, they want to be everyone, everyone but themselves, you know? So it's crazy, you know? It's crazy. So the next one we're gonna go to, and I'm gonna do this real quick. We're gonna move on to the people of Magog. The people of Magog, Lane of Gog, the mountainous region between Cappadocia and Media, which that right there is like southern Russia. You know, habitation of the descendants of Magog. And if you go in here, it says right here Magog. It doesn't really tell you who the people of Magog are. Yeah, okay, here it is. We are to understand just the same nations as the Greeks comprised under the name of Scythians. So the people of Magog are the Scythians, you know, the Indo-Europeans, as you call them. Okay, the land of the people of Magog are the Scythians. You can go ahead and read about them yourselves. You know, I already done my research on the people of uh Magog. You know, so the next one is Madai, which is very easy. Madai are Media or Medes or Madai, Middle Land, and a people descended from the son of Japheth or Japheth, and who inhabited the territory of Media. And it says here, Madai, Medes, Media, a country of Central Asia. The Medes, yeah, here it is, and the Medes. So Madai are pretty much the Medes, you know. As you read the Persians and the Medes, the Medes and the Persians are two different nations. The Medes are a Japhetic group, and the Persians are a Shemitic group. So it was two different races that were ruling that empire. But as you know through prophecy, I believe uh the Persians overcame the Medes, you know, which is Darius, Artaxerxes, you know, all these people. They became the greater powerhouse of that rulership. And the Medes were pretty much the lower, you know, class of that rulership. So the Medes are the descendants of Madai. So next one, we're gonna go and hit the people of Javan. Okay, the people of Javan, Ionia or Greece. Okay, and that's the true name of Greece. It's called Ionia. Okay, the Ionians, a location of descendants of Javan. Let's see here. Doesn't really give much, but basically, actually, let's go to the Chaldean lexicon. Ionia from this province, being more to the east, better known than the rest of Greece to the Orientals, its name became applied in their languages to the whole of Greece. Okay, uh, Greek writers. This has been expressly remarked by Greek writers. So, basically, the people of Greece, the Indo-Europeans, or as I say, the indigenous people of Greece, they were called Javan or Javanese people. You know, they are the descendants of Javan, which Javan was the one who inhabited Greece and set up his own nation. You know, a son of Japheth. So from there, we're gonna go to Tabal, which I forgot who Tabal was. Let me see if I can remember. Tubal, thou shalt be brought, a son of Japheth and the grandson of Noah, a region in East Asia Minor, perhaps nearly equal to Cappadocia. Tubal, let's see, Tibereni, the Tibereni, a nation of Asia Minor, joined by the Euxine Sea to the west of the Moshes. Now, if you guys don't know, the Moshi people, they are the people of Meshech. That's why in certain scriptures you will hear Meshech and Tubal, because Meshech and Tubal they dwelt uh, side by side next to each other. Which all comprises the some parts of Asia Minor, which is Turkey. The Tiberanes being the people of Tubal and Moshi being the people of Meshech. Okay, and I'm gonna do a quick search and I'm gonna type in Tubal and see what comes up. Tubal. Tubal. Uh, in Genesis 10, he is known to be the father of the Caucasians, Iberians, as ancestor of the Georgians. That's not true at all. Later, Saint Jerome refreshing the Caucasian Iberia, Georgia to Iberian Peninsula. Yeah, he went off. He went off. Let's see here. Tubal was a post-Hittite Luwian state in Asia Minor. The Mushki are traditionally associated with the Meshech. Further connect Tabal and Tubal with the tribe of the Black Sea. Let's see here. The Tiberani and certain tribes. Oh, okay. Actually, let me read this again. Salakia. Its neighbors, the Mushki, are traditionally associated with Meshech. Some historians further connect Tabal and Tubal with the tribe on the Black Sea coast, later known to the Greeks as Tiberani. Though this identification is uncertain, the Tiberani and nearby tribes, the Chalbes and the Mosi Noasi, were sometimes considered the founders of metallurgy. And I believe metallurgy is like the pretty much the science of it is the domain of material science engineering that studies the physical and chemical behavior of metallic elements. So pretty much blacksmith and the science and the ways of metals. The Greeks considered the Tiberani to be a sentient people. That's not true at all. The Tiberanes were not a sentient people. They were a whole different people. The sentients were the people of Magog. Okay. Now I would say this: the people of Magog and Tubal and Meshech, they dwelt right next to each other before Magog moved up to Russia. Okay, because of the wars that were happening. But before then, they were never the same people. Most reference book following Flavius Josephus identifies Tubal in Ezekiel's time as an area that is now in Turkey, which is true. It's correct. So that's the most likely. Uh, that's the most likely, and it goes into the book of Yash and the book of the Bee, which is all bugged out. We shouldn't dive into those books, but uh, you know, also talks about Tubal Cain, which is a whole different person. Uh, Earlier scholar king Alfonso X of Castile, which he's a Jake. Alfonso X. Yep. You can see you can see he looks like a Jake right there. They weren't successful in fully blackwashing that icon, but he pretty much claims that Tubal has settled in the Alpine Mountains, part of the Pyrenees. It's a mountain range between France and Spain. Yep. And the first part of the name said Tubalis from Cetus, which he meant tribe in his version. They later changed their name to Celt Iberians, or Celt Iberians. Uh, which this right here, it could be true, said Tubal, and to his youngest Ibar, he left the eastern called Iberia. Tubal then built a city for himself called Mora or Maria the with Albert. Yeah, so You know, and they also went off here. It says the Arabic dictionary notes that some Islamic authors make the Khazars descendants of Japheth's son, Kashish, Meshech, and others hold both the Khazars and Slavs to have come rather from his brother Tubal, which is going off. The Khazars were a whole group of people. They were Edomites. The Slavs themselves were Edomites as well, from written sources and books. They were known as the wild people, people that had no language, that were pretty much, uh, tribal. They were barbarians. Let me say that, and not in a good way. They were barbarians because they didn't have a working civilization. The Slavs, they lived in the wild. So you know, the most likely answer would be the Tiberanes. Now it says here the Tiberanes were people residing on the coast of ancient Pontus, according to Herodotus. The Tiberani were believed to be of Georgian or Scythian origin. So they were kind of correct when they said that the Georgians were the people of Tubal, you know? It says here, blah, blah, blah. So we pretty much got that out the way. We got who the people of Tubal are, the Tiberanis, or the Tiberani tribe. So the next one I'm going to go to is Meshech, which is very easy. Meshech right here, which is Moski. It says here, Meshech drawing out. Descendants of Meshech, often mentioned in connection with Tubal, Magog, and other northern nations, including the Moshe, people on the borders of Cochise and Armenia. Meshech, people descended from Meshech. Let me go to the Chaldee lexicon. Meshech, right here. Moshi, a barbarous people inhabiting the Moshian mountains between Iberia, Armenia, and Cochise. So, almost always joined with the neighboring Jabaranis. So, the people of Meshech were the Mochi tribe, indigenous group, a barbarous people inhabiting the mountains. So got that out the way. Meshech being the people of Moshi, and Tiraz are the Thracians. Gonna prove that real quick. Tiraz meaning desire. If you jump down, it says here Tiraz of northern nations sprung from Japheth according to Jonah and Targum of Jerusalem. Thracia. And the people of Thracia were the Thracians. You call that Thracians. So the people of Tiraz were the Thracians. All of this is very easy to decode. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Rapath, and Tagomer. Uh, the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz being the Germanic tribes that lived in Germany, Scandinavia, etc. Rapath or Rifa are pretty much the people that live in Dodanum and Rodanum, those islands outside of Cyprus. And Togorma are the people that are lived in those Caucasian mountains, those indigenous groups. Now the sons of Javan, Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanum. Actually, I need to be careful here. Make sure I don't say. Let me look up Ashkenaz real quick. Ashkenaz, a man has sprinkled, fire has scattered. The northern people, perhaps of Bithynia, which is wrong. Ashkenaz, sprung from the Sumerian. So this is where they go off. This is where the blue letter goes off. They associated this with the Cimmerians, but we read that the people of Gomer were the Cimmerians. So the modern Jews or the so-called Jews understand it to be Germany and call that country by its Hebrew name, which is only to be attributed to their wonderful ignorance of geography, which they're right to a certain extent. The people of Ashkenaz are those not the Germans of as of now, but the ancient Germans, okay, as you guys call the Germanic tribes, that attacked Rome before they were, whitenized, because there were Edomites among those Germanic tribes that pretty much intermingled with them. But before like Rome was set up, you had a group of people living in Germany, and they were called the people of Ashkenaz, and they were the Germanic tribes that lived there. I'm gonna do a quick search. Ashkenaz. Let me look it up. Ashkenaz. Let's see. Ashkenaz, is one of the descendants of Noah. Ashkenaz is the first son of Gomer, a Japhetic patriarch in the Table of Nations. Okay, in rabbinic literature, the kingdom of Ashkenaz was first associated with the Scythian region, which they got wrong. Then later with the Slavic territories, which is wrong, and then from the 11th century onwards with Germany and Northern Europe, which is right. Medieval Jews associated term with the geographical area centered on the Rhineland of Western Germany. As a result, the Jewish culture has developed in that area to be called Ashkenazi, the only form of the term to use today. Okay? Ashkenaz was a descendant of Noah. A kingdom of Ashkenaz was to be called together with Ararat and Mini against Babylon. Uh, let's see here. It doesn't say too much, but the Sarmatians, which is wrong. German royal genealogy. Cynthia. So in some of these Babylonian records, they said that Noah had more than three sons. He had a fourth son called Tusto or Tuscan, which is off. We know that's off. Yeah. In the vocables of Saxony and Hessia, there are some villages of the name Ashkenaz. Or as Kenaz. So there are some uh there are pretty much some places in Germany that still bears the name Ashkenaz, which is very interesting. Ashkenaz had a brother called Cynthia. Say the Germans, the father of the Scythians, which is off, for which the Germans have of old been called Scythians too, very justly for the name Old Cynthia. And Germany has several names, ancient names. Uh, so it doesn't give you too much. But we know from records and from common sense that Germany, that land. In fact, let me look up Germania map. I'm gonna give you a map of Germania, and I'm gonna show you where those Germanic tribes live. Okay, so this is where this is where these Germanics, those people of Ashkenaz, live. Okay, let me. Mm, that's way too much. Right here. That's not a good. That's not a good map. Trying to look for a good map of Germania. It keeps bringing up Germany. Germania uh, map, Roman times. There we go. Let's see. Right here. So this, as I zoom in, this right here is the land of Ashkenaz right here. Okay. From here all the way down here, this little area up to Denmark, Norway, Sweden, all those regions are the lands of Ashkenaz. And over here, to the east, you have the people of Scythia, okay, or the land of the Scythians, the people of Magog over here, reaching to Russia, so on and so forth. You have Javan, you had Tubal and Meshech. dwelling in these regions, along with Gomer, the Cimmerians, which also the Cimmerians dwelt in Britannia as well, because they moved up. Yeah, Javan over here, dwelling in Greece, this Mediterranean area, Italy, Greece, etc. The people of Cyprus, Kittim, joined over there. Let's see. You also had, what am I missing? I think that's it. Yeah, you got Meshech, Tabal. You have the Cimmerians dwelling. Oh yeah, they dwelt in France as well. You know, so the whole of Europe was pretty much uh civilized by these Indo-Europeans. You know, and Rapaf or Refaf, the second son of Gomer. I believe the Repaf would be uh sprung from Gomer and Cimmerian. But just the Riphean mountains have been compared. So let me do a quick search. Repaf. Repaf. Rifaf. Uh yeah, the younger brother of Ashkenaz and older brother of Tagorma. He was supposed by Flavius Josephus, which he's a Jake, okay, to have been the ancestor of the Reaphians, now called the Pelagonians, okay. Hippolytus of Rome made him the ancestor of the Sarmatians, as distinct from the Sarmatians, whom he called descendants of Rapaf. Okay, Rapaf has been connected with the Riphean mountains in classical Greek. Okay, so they lived in the Riphean mountains. You know, they also say that they begat the Celtic people that crossed the Riphean mountains en route to northern Europe, which is not true at all. You know, so the people of Rapaf are, are the Riphathians, now called the Pelagonians. You know, the Pelagonians. And let me move a little bit quicker because I'm not at where I want it to be. And Tagorma being, let's see, Tagorma territory settled by the descendants of Tagorma, probably the area known as Armenia. Okay, uh, country sprung from the Cimmerians. Yada yada yada. We should apparently understand Armenia was very abundant in horses. Okay, Tagorm, the son of Gomer. Now I'm gonna show you guys something right here. If you go look up Tagorma, it's gonna take you a while, but if you look up Tagorma, it would say here that in ancient Armenian tradition, let me see, Tagorma and the Jewish tradition is linked to Turkish people, which is true. To a certain extent, they are the Turkish people. However, modern historians record that Georgians are descendants of Tubal. Yeah, when talking about Tagorma, some sources believe that not only the Turks but also Armenian people are descendants of Tagorma. Now if you go here, uh, it says here several later ethnological traditions have claimed Tagorma as the legendary ancestors of the people in Western Asia and the Caucasus. Okay, Jewish historian and the Christian theologians Jerome Isidore of Seville regarded Tagorma as the father of the Pergians. Or the Fergians. uh, it says here Bishop of Theodoret regarded him as the father of the Armenians. Okay, medieval Jewish traditions linked him with the Turkish people, including the Khazars. Let's see here. Tagorma being the son of both Tiras and Gomer. Being the son of both Tiras and Gomer, who regarded Tagorma as the founder of the nations along with other Caucasian people. Okay? So, I have to find it, but basically they have in their history pretty much an ancestor called Tagorma. This is a Jewish tradition. They pretty much believe that Tagorma is the ancestor of the Khazars. Which is true to a certain extent because those Khazars, those Edomites, they mixed in with the indigenous people that were living there at that time. So it doesn't give you too much, but um, I think they changed it because when I was reading, they talked about an ancestor called Tagorma or Tagore or Tagar, and they said that this is the Tagorma that was spoken about in the Bible. And he was like an ancestor that was living in this Caucasian mountain region. Very interesting. Now this map is going off because they put Gomer over here. Gomer's supposed to be down here. Okay, in that Turkish region. Magog is supposed to be up a little bit. Rafaf or the Riphaean Mountains, which is correct, is supposed to be over here. Madai is supposed to be over here. Dodanum, Greece, Javan, that's correct. Javan is over here. They put the Arabians, Ishmael, Midian, the Midianites, which is an Arabic tribe. Ashkenaz is supposed to be all the way up there. So these people they go off a little bit. But that's enough of that. I'm gonna get to my main point. Javan, the people of Javan, were Alicia, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodan. Now I'm not gonna go through all of this, but I'm gonna give you a brief. Tarshish are the people of Spain. Okay, the indigenous people of Spain, and that's the name. That's the Hebrew name of Spain, which is Tarshish. The ancient biblical name. Kittim is Cyprus, and Dodanum is like the island of Dodanum or uh Dodanus. Um, so I'm gonna do a quick look at Dodanum. Let's see what it says here. Dodanum or Radanim, sons or descendants of Javan. And it says here Dodanum, from the Greeks, if this is reading correct, with Dodana, uh, Dar, okay. So the people of Dodanum are the Trojans. The people of Dodanum are the Trojan people. Dar suggests the Dardani, i.e. the Trojans. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's what we believe to be the people of Dodana because the Trojans were very close to Greece. If you know through history, and them being sons of Javan, they had to be close to the Grecians. Cyprians had no doubt of Dodana who are meant to be as the same origin as kite. Thus, considers that a true reading and that the Dardanians Trojans are meant. So the Trojans are the Dardanians, which those are the people of Dodanum. You have Kittim, which is Cyprus, very easy. Kittim, Cyprus, Bruisers. Okay. Kittim, Cyprus, the Cyprians. Okay, or the Cyprians, a celebrated Phoenician colony. Pretty much. I'm not going to read all of this, but it goes into a lot of history. So it's pretty much the people of Cyprus, the Cyprians. And why the significance they compared to the islands and coast of the Mediterranean Sea, especially the northern Greece and the islands and the shores of the Aegean Sea. So that those islands over there, those are where those Cyprians lived. And the people of Tarshish, which is over here, Tarshish, yellow jasper, a city of the Phoenicians in a distant part of the Mediterranean Sea to which the prophet Jonah was trying to flee. Ah, it's a site unknown, but perhaps in Cyprus or Spain. The place that Jonah was trying to flee was pretty much Spain, a Mediterranean area, a place on the Mediterranean, a merchant vessel. Let's go down here. It says here Tarsus, okay, Tartus. More rarely, a city of Spain with the adjacent country. So Tarsus is really Spain. You know that Iberian Peninsula is the place of Tarsus. You know. Now I don't know the people that live there, but I assume that those are those indigenous Spanish people or the indigenous Iberians. You know. You look up Tarsus right here. Is the name of a village in Lebanon. Tartis Cadiz right here. The point is that Tarshish understand the king of Solomon's metal and gold and fleets of ships from Tarshish. So they these King Solomon he got a lot of the ships that the Phoenicians came with. They were from Spain, you know, and they came and they sailed through here all the way to the land of Israel, which is Phoenicia, you know. Because if you guys don't know, the Phoenicians, man, they were experts in navigating the sea, and they explored most of Europe. You even had Phoenicians that explored over there in Scandinavia, and they were having slave trades with these the Japhetic people of of that region. You had a lot of slaves because those Japhetic people, man, they had a lot of wars that were being fought between each tribes, and the tribe that lost, they got sold into slavery. And when the Phoenicians came to do trading in Europe, they traded gold, goods, silver, brass, stone, you know, everything. And these Japhetic people they traded slaves down to the Middle East. So you had a lot of Japhetic people as slaves coming down, you know, uh, with the people of these Hamites, you know, and they were popping the women, selling the men, doing whatever they want with them, you know, these slaves because these heathens, man, they're kind of profane, you know, but that's just a little bit of some history on that. Uh, People say that Tarshish is Carthage, which is off. Uh, uh, so it's Javan, where Alicia, Daniel. Flavius Josephus reads Tarshish identifying the city of Tarsus in southern Asia Minor, which is off, you know. My boy, Flavius Josephus, he went off on certain things, you know. Let's see, Sardinia, Spain. Here it is. So Rufus Festus Avienus, the Latin writer of the 4th century AD, identified Tarshish as Cadiz. Okay. Uh, the 17th century French Protestant pastor suggested in his Phaleg that Tarshish was the city of Tartessos in southern Spain. He was followed by others, you know, including Hertz. In the oracle against Tyre, the prophet Ezekiel mentions that silver, iron, lead, and tin came to Tyre from Tarshish, and they were stored in Tyre and resold probably to Mesopotamia, which is correct, you know. So you had a lot of these supposedly Edomites, you know, appeared to be Edomite people that had a lot uh, of suggestions on what Tarshish could be. But we believe that Tarshish is the land of Spain, you know, which it makes a lot of sense, you know, for it to be those people. So now that I got that out the way, I'm gonna go back and read. Actually, I'm gonna go to here. ancient Greek timeline. So this is very important. So from here, 3000 BC, as we read in Genesis 10, you had the people of Javan. They were living in Greece, okay, all the way up until around this time period, okay. Around this time period right here is when everything went left, okay. As you can see here, 508 BC, democracy was pretty much introduced, and we know who created democracy. It was these Edomites, you know. It's a copied from another form of these Japhetic people. It says here, right here, 800, 900. So around here, this is when these Edomites started taking over Greece. Now, they didn't fully take over until Alexander the Greek came on the scene, but around 800 BC, these Edomites started showing up in Greece, okay? And I'm gonna prove it to you guys here in the lineage of the ancient Greeks, okay? And it's gonna show you, okay, the lineage of pretty much Alexander the Greek. It says the Alexander the Greek lineage begins in Argos. I'm gonna read here. This Alexander was descended in the seventh degree from Perdiccas, who attained the sovereignty over the Macedonians in a way which I will now relate. Three brothers, descendants of Temenus, fled from Argos to the Illyrians. Their names were Gaius, Aeropus, and Perdiccas. Okay, keep that in mind, Perdiccas. Okay, that's a very, very important name. Now we're gonna jump here to excerpt 139 from the Perdiccas of whom we have spoken. Alexander was described in the following way: Alexander was the son of Amyntas, of Alcetas. The father of Alcetas was Aeropus. Of Aeropus, Philip. This is not the Philip that we know. Philip Argaeus. So Philip was the son of Argaeus, and Argaeus was the son of Perdiccas, the first sovereign. Such was the descent of Alexander. You know. Now, I searched up who Perdiccas was, and you guys are going to be very, very interested in who he was. It says here, Perdiccas, the first of Macedon, was king of the ancient kingdom of Macedon. Now, I'm going to read a little bit of here. It says here, was the king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedon. From Argos fled the country of the Illyrians, three brothers of the descendants of Temenus, Gaius, Aeropus, and Perdiccas, you know. Now that these descendants of Perdiccas are Greeks, as they themselves say, I myself chance to know, and will prove it in the latter part of my history. This is a statement from Herodotus, you know. He was preceded by Ptolemaeus, okay, who was according to, was an Argaean king, who's not given mentioned in the list, but it's first mentioned in the 4th century. So this guy, Tyremus, was not of the Edomite descendant bloodline. That Edomite, pretty much the Edomite, which it says here, father Tyremus, which it could be correct. You know, this could be his father, but as I know, the family line starts at Perdiccas, so we don't know if Tyremus was really his father or not. You know, it could have been his adopted father. Who knows? But as you can see here in the line of the Argaid line, you have Perdiccas, Argaeus, Philip, uh, Aeropus, Alcetus, Amanitis, Alexander the First, okay, which is not Alexander the Greek, Alcetus, Perdiccas the Second, Archelaus, Craterus, Orcetus, Aeropus the Second, a whole line, and all the way down to here Alexander the Third, Alexander the Great, which he had Philip the Second right here, you know. All of these are descendants of Edomites, which I believe they started at Caranus, or Caranus was the first king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedon. Let me see if it gives a timeline. It says the reign was unknown, pre 500 BC. So it doesn't give a timeline of when he ruled, but you know, what about this guy? Does it give a timeline? No. What about this guy? No. So this Argaea dynasty were all Edomites, you know, and Perdiccas he was ruling. I'm gonna show you guys here. Perdiccas the first in this historical wiki. Perdiccas the first, he was the king. Died in 678 BC. Was king of Macedon from 700 to 678 BC. Preceding Argaeus. He was the founder of the Argaid kingdom, having been exiled to Macedonia from his home in Argos, and went on to unite the Macedonian tribes under his and his brothers Gaius and Aeropus rule. Okay, so this was during the 7th century BC. So if we go into the lineage, which I'm gonna do that now, 600 BC. I want to look up. I want to look up this guy right here. Let's see if I can find anything on him. Copy. Yeah, Caranus of Macedon. Caranus of Macedon. Let me see if I can find any information. Caranus was the first king of ancient kingdom of Macedon, according to Herodotus. Does it have any sources on when he ruled, like the time period? Sources primary. So there's not much on him, you know. His name is pretty much known, but there's no timeline of when he ruled, you know. Yeah, 900 to 800 BC, which is what they put there. Was mostly in 478 BC. Wow. So if we go to the timeline right here, see the timeline of Perdiccas all the way to Alexander was the son of Matthias and so on and so forth. We know that around this time, okay, around this time, 700 to 800, right around here, this was the time when these Edomites, you know, started setting up their own kingdoms, you know, around 900 to 1000 BC. But before then, it was all Japheth that was ruling. So after the Dark Ages, when the Greeks entered in the Dark Ages, that's when pretty much Esau started coming up into power, you know, in the Greek timeline. Now that we got that out of the way, I want to read a little bit of this right here. With the exit of the Sea people, the Eurasian invaders are now in quandary. They have taken it, but they don't know how to use it. After all, they are still illiterate nomads. There follows a period known as the Greek Dark Ages. A conventional time frame for this period is from 1200 to 750 BC. And during that time span, okay, you have 800 BC, which is when what was this guy's Perdiccas? That's when he ruled, you know. So that was like the start of Esau's, you know, rulership, because Perdiccas is the great one of the forefathers of Alexander the Greek, and it goes all the way back to this Amalekite. I forgot his name. Let me see if I can find it. I forgot his name, man. Agag. Yeah, Agag. Agag. Yeah, here it is. Agag. I believe it's Agag. I'm not sure if it's this Agag or a different. King. Um. Oh man, I forgot his name. Is it called Hadad? See, Hadad. Is it Hadad? No, that's not it. It can't be Hadad. Somewhere in oh man, I forgot this guy's name. Man, oh Lord's will I can remember his name. Um, let me search up. Uh, let me do this Persians because he was around during the Persian Empire. Haman. Yeah, there we go. Haman. Dawadi Halbashim Shai. So the guy's name is Haman. Haman of Persian origin, magnificent in the name of a vizier, the prime minister of the Persian king. He is called an Agagite, which seems to denote that he was descended from the royal family of the Amalekites, the bitterest enemies of the Jews, as Agag was one of the titles of the Amalekite kings. So Agag was like a title, like just like how Caesar is a title of a Roman emperor, or you know what's it called, Tsar, which is king in Russia. Russian is like uh, a title for a Russian emperor, So Agag was a title, and his name was Haman, and this was a guy, okay, who pretty much fled. You look up Haman. This was the guy that was trying to get the Israelites in trouble, and he was like the beginning of pretty much these Edomites uh going into Europe. Let me type in Haman the Amalekite. Uh, to Europe. Amalek, Haman, Haman. So I'm not sure what happened to Haman. I'm not sure what happened to Haman, but pretty much he was an Amalekite that was alive during the Persian Empire, uh, during the time of the Persians, and that was like roughly. Let me see. Haman, the Amalekite. Let me look that up. Persian Empire. Appointed as prime minister, he was a servant of Xerxes the First. So let's go and search up Xerxes the First. Yeah, from around 518 BC, 400 BC, and he was the guy that was around during the Persian Empire and Edomite, and he was alive during 500 BC. So that's good to know. But before that, you had Edomites outside. So this was around the time when Esau was like spreading out outside the land of Edom, and they were going to these different parts of the world, dwelling there in the Eastern Hemisphere, of the world. So we're gonna go back, and I'm gonna read a little bit of here because I want to show you guys some images, right? Of of uh of so-called dark-skinned people. You have the bronze statue of the Greek god Apollo hooked in the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, and these are the fake images that they created. Okay, this is the Greek the Greek god Menon, if I'm saying his name right. Phoenician coin over here. You also have so-called dark-skinned people, which this could be Japheth or this could be Jake. We don't know. Okay. You have a Barbados penny. Barbados penny during the 1792, and he goes into something else. So very interesting, you know. Uh, it was deep dye black to reflect the skin color. Greeks deep dye black, even though the surface is. So these are all Greek icons, you know. Now I want to show you guys something right here. This is a mask of Selenius, okay? Which, if you don't know, Selenius is a follower of Dionysus, and you can see this is a so-called black person right here. Now we don't know if this is Japheth or we don't know if this is Jake, but you can see this is a dark-skinned person, you know, and you can see the coin. You know, this might be Japheth because this dude looks like a Polynesian, you know. He looks just like these Polynesians today, with the big noses and big ass lips and a long ass beard, with the long curly hair, you know. It's another photo. This is a Sumerian. Again, these are the people of Gomer. And this is how they look. The people of Gomer, you know. Now I'm also show you guys over here. I found this right here. It says the ancient or Africans of ancient Rome. You have, as you see in this first image, brown skin and heavily curly hair. This is a mask of Selenius, follower of Dionysus. Okay, looks like a so-called black person right here, and then you have woolly-haired black Zeus. You have a statue of a boy, which I believe is to be a Jake. Okay, he's kind of naked, but you can see his hair is plaited, and this is a dark-skinned person. Now, this is a image of Bacchus, or what we call Dionysus, with Hercules, and they're drinking and playing the music, the harp. You can see Dionysus is a so-called black man, along with Hercules, you know. And it says that a beautiful jet black African woman as part of a geniform vase. 400 BC, these women conformed by their complexion, pure black and pure white, that they represent a first meeting of the races at 400 BC. The male fathers of the opposite race, the fathers of the children of the next generation, would produce a tawny golden offspring. Such would be the next and future generation until it become a pure white of today over the coming millennium. And that's what happened. The Greeks are the people of Javan. They mixed with these Edomites and they created like a what's the word, a mulatto type of race of people. Okay, and you have this, you still have the seed of Esau over there, and you still have the seed of Japheth of Javan over there. Well, the angels will go ahead and separate, you know, from who's who. You know, we'll figure that out in the kingdom. So I'm gonna close this out, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of some more images of Dionysus. Let me do it here. Dionysus. Now, if you type in Dionysus Black God, these are the images that come up. You have here, okay, Dionysus, and you can see here him drinking wine, sitting down on the floor. You have even more vases that picture him as a so-called black man. You know, this is my favorite one right here. You know, You can see Dionysus right here, depicted as a so-called black person playing the harp, the music. This is more like a chilled lesson, not bringing that many precepts out because I just want to go over a few icons and artifacts of ancient Greece. This is another picture of Dionysus, or a vasing of Dionysus, and he's holding like a wine cup. Here's another painting. As you can see here, Dionysus with few black people. You can see a black woman, a black man, and then it appears to be an Edomite woman. Uh, I don't think that's an Edomite. I think that's an actual black woman as well, but they kind of scratched off the paint, or they painted over it. You see here, this is Dionysus, a black man. He's just drinking wine, and they're attending to him, his servants. Another vase in here, and all of these vases you can get online for like $50 to $60, and people actually buy these. Here's Dionysus, god of wine, and Hermes. Hermes as well. Okay, messenger of the gods, so called. So all these so-called Greek gods and goddesses, they were all so-called black people. Esau painted them as so-called white people was going off. All these different white paintings that you see today of Zeus and that all came during the time of Alexander the Greek. You know, they're the ones that created these new statues and so on and so forth. But the original paintings and statues were always so-called black people. Now I'm gonna show you a picture of Zeus, and I've been meditating about this. I've been meditating about this. Let me search up Natian wine bowl. There we go. There we go. This is how you bypass the system. So I'm looking for a particular vase over here. A work of pottery that shows Zeus. Let me see. Natian wine bowl. It's not showing for some reason. See, this is how you know this is the devil right here. For some reason they don't want to show. If I type in black Zeus, what's gonna happen? Ah, there we go. Right here. This is on a Natian wine bowl, which is like an Italian wine bowl. And you can see here, what does this look like? This is a so-called black man. And this is an image of Zeus. Okay? This is Zeus right here. And this is how he looked. A so-called black man. Oh, what the hell? That's how he looked today. And he looks like Yahushua, which is very interesting. I'm wondering if these Jakes they took the image of Yahushua and made it to like a different god. That's what I'm thinking about. Who knows? I could be wrong. So that's the image of Zeus, and I'm gonna read a few scriptures to close it out. First one being Second Maccabees. Uh, actually, let me not read. The first one I want to read is this right here. This is Isaiah 25 verse 7. And he will destroy in the mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Because earlier we went through the sons of Japheth and who they were, according to history and text, and we matched them up and showed you that Esau has hid these names from the people. The people of Javan, the people of Gomer, they don't know who they are today. Those descendants, they don't know who they are today. But all of that is gonna change when the Lord comes, and he's gonna establish his kingdom on earth. and we're gonna have all these people know who they are according to their biblical nationalities. Because Esau he went around the earth proclaiming to be everybody, everybody, the Egyptians, the Arabians. I kid you not, you actually have Edomites out there that truly believe that the Egyptians were white and that only a few section of the Egyptians were black. It's fucking crazy. They want to be everybody, man. These Edomites, they want to be everyone on earth except who they are, Edomites. They never talk about the Edomites. They never do a documentary on who the Edomites are. Never. But all of a sudden, they want to be the fucking Egyptians. You gotta be out your goddamn mind. This is First Maccabees 3, verse 48. Now, this is actually talking about when it talks about the book of the law. It's talking about the figures of the Bible, like Ezekiel, Daniel, the prophet, um, John, Matthew, Yahushai, the angels, the Lord, the Heavenly Father. That's what it means when they laid open the book of the law. They actually painted over, okay, pretty much the biblical characters, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen, this is First Maccabees 3 and 48, has sought to paint the likeness of their images. So basically, these heathens, they not only painted over the likeness of of the images of the book, but he also painted the likeness over all these nations. And that also lines up with Isaiah 25 and 7, where it talks about the Lord destroying the covering cast over all people. These Edomites have put their stamp over all these different nations and pretty much hijacked their culture, and claimed it as their own. They keep. I mean, let me go ahead and get that scripture. Keep it at home. This is Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. This Edomite, okay, the Edomite man, or the Edomite race, they never keep at Mount Seir. Even the so-called land of Europe that they took over, they don't keep at home in Europe. They're over there in South Africa. They're over there in the land of Israel. They're over there among those Arabian tribes, okay, in Havilah, Saudi Arabia. They're over there all throughout the Americas. These Edomites, they don't keep at home. They're also in Australia. They never want to stay where they are. They always want to venture out and steal other people's homelands. All that soon is going to come to an end. So that's pretty much it I have for this lesson. I decided to make this short, sweet as possible. Let me see what time I'm at. An hour and 18 minutes, which is not bad. But basically, I just wanted to go over the artifacts of Greece and show you that it was dark skinned people that were ruling, the people of Javan. And you had the Etruscans, which are also people of Javan. They were living on the other side. So you had the Ionians and the Etruscans. And they're all descendants of Javan. So in fact, let me leave you with one more precept. Um, no, that's not what I want. Let me go ahead and get this right here. Yeah, let me go ahead and get this right here. And I'm also gonna get another precept. This is Ecclesiastes 4:16. There's no end of all the people, even all of them that have been before them. They also that come after them shall not rejoice in them. Surely this is also is vanity and vexation of spirit. So the main part is in verse 1 where it says there's no end of all people, all the people. So vocab saying that the Edomites are done away with, unless there's like a historical record that's written about the Edomites being wiped out on this so day to BC. There is no historical record of the Edomites being wiped out, so that means that the Edomites are still here, and that also shows you that the people of Javan, these Indo-Europeans, their descendants are crossing and living on the earth as of this day. They're probably under different nationalities, but they're living, and the family line and these people exist, and they will find out who they are in the kingdom. When the Lord is going to separate the goats, separate the nations and so on and so forth, and give them and put them back in the land that they belong. That's those are the things that are going to happen during that after that 1,000 year period. When the nations build up our kingdom. After that 1,000 year period, Esau will be exterminated, and these heathen nations, they will be given their plots of land, and they will live there. It's going to be a beautiful time because you're going to have the people of Japheth living where they're supposed to live in Europe. You're going to have Shem living in Asia, which is where they're supposed to live, Asia. You're going to have Ham living in the land of Ham, which is Africa. So everything's going to go back to the time of after the flood, Noah. When the nations dwelt where they were. And the only thing that's going to be left is the only thing that's going to be different is Esau is going to be wiped out, according to Obadiah 1, verse 18. The house of Esau shall be no more, shall be as stubble. Okay, meaning Esau, you're going to be wiped out. You're going to be the only nation on earth that's promised no mercy from the Heavenly Father. You know, so Lord's will, I can't wait for that to happen. And Lord's will, you guys will edify. And until next time, Shalom.